Hello and welcome to another episode of In the Springs. I am your host, Ryan Lowry. Today's episode was recorded at the legendary Loonees Comedy Corner right here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. My guest today is another great stand-up comedian out of Denver, Colorado. Mr. Ron Ferguson is in the Springs. So the first question I have, this is pretty typical of everybody that I talk to. When was the last time you jumped out of an airplane?
2 weeks ago. Longmont. Yeah, Southwest Airlines.
Dude, I had no idea you were doing that kind of thing. How long have you been doing that?
3 years now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And what was the impetus to jump out of a plane for the first time?
Just got tired of flying them. so I'm out of here.
Back to the man, I'm out.
Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I've always had an interest in flying aviation, of course. Been flying for quite some time, and got out of the Air Force and continued flying and went to college for my license.
You're kidding. I'm embarrassed to say I had no idea that you had an
That's
aviation
okay.
background.
That's okay, Kevin. I mean, we all make mistakes.
I did all my research and I got notes.
No, it's been a passion of mine for a long time. So
Nice. So part of your service, so it wasn't your first time jumping ever. You did it through.
it was my first time jumping.
It was.
Yeah,
Okay.
in service. I worked on F-15s and F-111s.
Okay. Where were you stationed when you were doing that?
Germany, Spangdahlem, Germany.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's fun.
Oh, that's very cool. So how often do you get a chance to skydive? Because that's not an inexpensive hobby. I mean, that's kind of a...
To get started, it's pretty expensive. But now that I have my own gear, I have 2 rigs and 4 chutes and all the gear. And so it depends on the drop zone.
Yeah.
So it ranges from $15 to $25 per jump.
Yeah.
So
what was your... I don't know if this is like a jinx question, but what was the scariest? Have you had a moment where you're like, something's wrong?
Yeah, I've had multiple.
No kidding?
Yeah,
and you're still doing it?
I'm still doing it. I'm just.
Holy shit, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, I should probably get some life insurance.
You think?
Yeah. Well, it was probably the second time I flew my wingsuit.
Oh my
squirrel
gosh.
suits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went in a flat spin, and it was hard to recover out of that because I was in a flat spin. And nonetheless, you have to do everything symmetrical. I was doing everything asymmetrical.
Wow.
But I was about 500 feet above the ground and
Oh my God.
no canopy out. So
Holy crap.
yeah, it was
So getting on stage
surreal.
is nothing. I mean,
No.
there's got to be no fear there.
Yeah, I'll jump off this stage anytime. I'll jump off right now.
Oh my God, that's great.
But it's like anything. You just you're learning physics.
Yeah.
You can figure out physics.
Now, have you done the indoor? No, I
Yeah.
mean this to be a whole skydiving. It's supposed to be about comedy,
Oh, of
but I'm
course,
kind of
of course.
fascinated by the.
Yes, I have. Actually, after I had a couple incidents,
Yeah.
I had to go back to the tunnel for indoor skydiving.
So it's like
Practice
more
a little
body
bit.
control and.
Yeah,
that kind
yeah.
of-
You get bigger bang for your buck there,
Yeah.
and there's some great
Like
instructors.
an
there.
infinite free fall, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like open mics. You know?
Right. Yeah.
No,
Perfect
no harm done.
segue. Perfect segue. So you started doing comedy in '01,
That's it.
and
Yeah.
you were what, 24, 25?
Yeah.
Something like that. So that was kind of a late-ish start relative
Yeah.
to some of our peers.
Yeah, I pursued the aviation, of course.
Yeah.
And I just went up on a whim and had fun with it and continued going up and riding.
Now was that up in Denver your first time up?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was at an open mic at a biker bar, and then the winner got like a $50 bar tab, and I remember all the other guys were going up, excuse me, and they were doing take-home jokes. 2 guys walk into a bar, and a Jew and a rabbi, and and I went up. I actually was writing
Right.
material. I went up there, and I didn't win. So
But the first time you got on stage, you actually had prepared a set. You just went. You had
at the bar,
Yeah.
right there.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, there's a contest tonight? Well, I could use that bar tab.
So was that the motivation? Was just
The bar tab.
No way, really?
Yeah, well, I've always watched comedy ever since I was a kid. I used to watch Bud Friedman's Annie at the Improv.
Oh my gosh,
as a
yeah.
kid, and my dad had a strong sense of humor. So my first concert was Andrew Dice Clay in Michigan.
Oh my God. Now was it like at the height of the
Yeah.
Dice Man?
Yeah, it was,
Madison Square Garden level and all that kind of
exactly.
stuff. Nice.
So I've always had an interest in mechanics of comedy, what triggers laughter. My dad was a natural at it, he still is. So
Yeah.
I just kind of figured it out. One
Nice.
thing led to another.
Now why, this sounds like kind of a loaded question, but why do you do it? Why do you keep doing comedy? What's the attraction?
I guess from the day one, it's just that I just love the triggering laughter. It's such a mystical thing to me. I used to watch TV just with this blank, stoic face and just waiting. Okay, make me laugh. And when I was in elementary school, there was a game show called Make Me Laugh. So I used to go there.
Yeah, I remember
So
that.
on recess, I used to go gather kids around there at the monkey bars, and I have my own little game show at recess called Make Me Laugh, and I make you laugh. You give me your lunch money, or you give me your Transformers and
No way.
your GoBots or whatever. So I just love the challenge, and the payoff is great to
Yeah.
hear laughter. My dad always had the family laughing and friends, and
Yeah.
so it's just fun to hear and make people laugh.
Yeah, and there really is nothing, I know, with the technology and everything is accessible in the palm of your hand, but there's nothing to replace the live performance, the atmosphere, both as a performer and as an audience member. When you go to a live comedy show, there's just nothing like it. And you can't replicate that in a book or on TV, or there's just something visceral about it that, and as a performer, getting that instant feedback.
Yeah, just the temperature of the room, the noises, the ambient sounds, the timing, everything
Right.
plays into it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And you've had, throughout your career, you've been on the road quite a bit. I know you worked with Pablo Francisco for a while. You were one of his opening acts. I mean, is that lifestyle, is that something that suits you, being on the road and, doing a show, packing up, moving to the next town, that kind of thing?
My moods ebb and flow. For a while there, I just went on the road myself when I first started. Just sleeping in the back of my pickup in between gigs when I didn't have a motel. And then working with Pablo, that's rock star treatment.
Yeah.
Limos and first class. But
Now, how did you hook up that gig with Pablo? Did you know him, or?
I know
Obviously knew of him, but.
Right, yeah, I was always a big fan of him. The first time I saw him was when I was a door staff at a comedy club.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the guts to get on stage, so I just worked in the back as a door staff, and I just always used to watch comedy, and that's when I first saw him live. And then as time progressed, I saw he was in town. And I went down to watch him, and I went in the green room to say, hey, I've always been a fan. He said, oh, are you coming here for a guest set? I said, no. But he goes, oh, just go on and do 10 minutes. I said, okay. So I went on and did 10 minutes, and he said, that was great. I'll see you tomorrow. I was like, see me tomorrow?
You gotta be kidding me.
So continued the weekend with him, and then on Sunday he said, you have anything booked New Year's Eve? I said, no. So he brought me to Brea, California, to work the Improv there, and then it just continued on and on. Do you have this available, and so continued on.
Nice. Now, were you were living out in LA for a while?
Redondo Beach.
Redondo Beach, okay.
Yeah. So
And
just
was
down
that to
the
support
street.
the comedy habit, or was it
Yeah.
something else that took you out there?
Pablo got me in some gigs, so that's down the street from him at his place, and used to go over there and talk with him, hang out and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was I guess to trigger some more opportunities. Nothing that's come on it yet, but it was a fun experience to accelerate that type of thing, stage time.
So what was the
connections.
from working with Pablo? Just because I know he's at the theater level. What was a moment for you where you're like, I can't believe I'm standing in front of 1,200 people telling
Yeah.
jokes,
Yeah, Vegas was
going from a biker bar,
Right.
for a $50 bar tab.
Yeah, yeah, it was fun. It was Vegas was fun. The Chicago Comedy Club Stand Up Live was fun. The Melrose Improv was always fun.
Yeah.
Some big hitters in there. I've worked with Louis C.K. just shows up. Bill
No
Burr
way.
shows up. Pablo, Kevin Nealon. So you're amongst these big league hitters. And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of fun moments I've had with them.
And there really is a camaraderie among comedians. I've known you for, probably 10 years, believe it or not. And,
Yeah.
and every time, that's what I miss the most about performing, is just the backstage stuff and getting a chance to hang out with other comics. And because everything that went with it, the road stuff and sitting around and waiting and all that that's the grind of it.
Exactly.
But getting on stage is great, and then hanging out with with colleagues is great. So having that opportunity to meet and work with Louis C.K., whatever it is, there's no other business that I can think of that has that type of, fraternity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, once you get there, everyone has each other's back and join, and there's some jealousy and backstabbing out there. But overall, my experience has been everyone's been real supportive, and everyone
Yeah.
has fun. And it's when the audience turns on someone, all the other comics get mad. And oh yeah, we'll take care of them.
Right.
So it's fun.
Yeah. So what
Always been
advice
fun.
would you give a comic who's just starting out? Somebody who comes up to you after your show and says, man, I really want to do comedy.
how do you get started? What advice would you give them?
I guess two things is write everything down, because you can't remember everything.
Yeah.
And if the more you write, the more you have to select from. I mean, that's your goal right there, is what you write. And you can't repeat your imagination.
Right.
But so yeah, write everything down and just be honest with yourself. I think the biggest thing is people try to be funny, or they try to be mechanical about it.
Yeah.
But
So what do you mean by be honest with yourself?
when don't censor yourself. You know, This
Gotcha.
may be too dirty, or this may be risque, or this may not work in Des Moines, Iowa, or this may be not corporate, or just continue to write and be honest with yourself, and you figure yourself out. Because there was times I was censoring myself, and my own inner critic was saying, no, don't do that, and yes, do that.
Now, was that censor based on it was too personal, or I've crossed a line somewhere, or, I mean, what kind of censorship were you finding yourself?
It ranged from not being as honest to just, this isn't funny.
Right.
So I'd say, so, you know, the next day you're reading over your notes, well, why would I think of that?
Yeah.
But I save those notes, and you know, I have boxes and boxes and boxes of material and matchbooks and napkins.
Right.
And I'm pulling some out from 8-10 years ago, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, that's gold. I didn't know what I was thinking at that time, but
Yeah.
now with all the experience and stage time, I can actually turn this into a bit.
Yeah.
So
I mean, do you have that moment where you grab a piece of paper and it says, you know, donkey, boat, and you're like, what? I don't know what any of these were.
Yeah, you know,
Why did I think any of this was funny, you know? And you kind of lose track of what you thought was funny originally.
Yeah, no, yeah, I have some great, just words, just random. Like,
Right.
Yeah, honeybees in Iraq. Like,
Yeah.
what the, how could I never, I have a joke about honeybees in Iraq? Nobody has that.
Oh, that's great.
Like, yeah.
So with your experience having had an opportunity to work across the country, West Coast, Midwest, East Coast, all that kind of stuff, do you try to tailor your material to where you're going to be, or do you just say, this is who I am, take it or leave it? So like if you're in Des Moines, Iowa versus Chicago, is it going to be a different set for you?
Yeah, good question. It's not necessarily a different set, but a different pacing.
Yeah.
In Texas, I kind of slow my drawl and
Yeah.
explain and slow down the timing and delivery of the punchlines. But in the East Coast, I'm not going to talk about.
Wait a minute. Are you slowing it down so they understand what you're saying, or
Yeah,
you're just trying to match their dialect?
Oh, yeah, matching their dialect.
It certainly
a little
isn't.
bit more.
Okay.
Yeah.
That wasn't a dig at their intellect.
No,
Okay.
no. The East Coast, of course, you get quicker. You know, you got to do an 8-ball just to
Right.
get a setup out. And then, so I change it. I mean, the pacing, I guess.
Yeah.
Kind of get in the mood of the room, and you know, it's different rooms, different cities. So there's a lot of factors that come into play in
Yeah.
the delivery, but not necessarily the material.
Gotcha. Okay.
Doing.
So what is one of your most memorable heckler moments, where you've had to deal with somebody, whether it was just the situation in the room, or whether it was directed towards you, or even maybe a colleague you were working with that night? What was the most memorable one you can think of off the top of your head?
I can't remember the city. It was up. It was near Castle Rock, but I was getting ready to go on stage, and I was closing the show because another guy called in, so I was the last minute replacing the guy. But the guy who was on before me said something to another guy's wife, and the other guy said, "What'd you say?" He said, "I told your wife to shut the fuck up and sit down. Maybe you should tell her that too." And so he came up on stage with his pool stick, swung at the guy with the pool stick. That guy ran off the stage, and then another guy grabbed that guy. It turned into a rumble, like a scene.
And
From,
this is before you even...
yeah, I'm just
Oh, my
sitting there going over my notes, and I turn around, like, okay, I guess
This is going to be fun.
yeah. It just turned into a all-out brawl, and the comic who initiated the whole thing ran outside and climbed a tree. So he was hiding in the tree, and then it just turned out to a brawl. Tables were flipped over, chairs were flying, pool sticks everywhere, screaming, yelling. And,
So did the show go on?
oh, no.
Oh,
so
thank God.
So I ran out, I grabbed the other comic who I was with, and jumped in my car and drove out. We're like, we're out of here. This is, I'd forget to pay and everything.
Oh, my God.
We left, and
That is
then as I was
crazy.
speeding out, I got pulled over.
Yeah.
So and the cop said, why are you driving so fast? I'm like, there's an all-out brawl like, down at the so-and-so bar. He's like, oh, really? And you want to? He was out. Go, get out of here. Wear your seatbelt.
That's a note to self. That could be a good out.
Yeah.
If you're speeding up.
Yeah. I saw someone get murdered over there.
I heard shots fired down the road, so yeah,
Yeah.
I'm leaving, so
Yeah.
take care of that. Well, Ron, man, I appreciate you coming out and hanging out for a little bit before the show tonight. Now, where can folks find you online if they want to catch up on, where you're going to be
Oh, yeah.
next and Twitter and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff?
adultfriendlyfighter.com.
Okay. ChristianFarmers.com.
Yeah. ChristianFarmerDaughters.com. Be poking around there.
No pun intended.
Yeah. So Facebook, obviously.
Okay.
Ron Ferguson / Ron Ferguson Comedy.
Nice, and there should be a fancy little graphic right here when
Yeah.
when it gets posted, so, yeah.
Twitter is at Ron Ferguson.
Okay.
And website's ronfergusoncomedy.com.
Terrific.
Just
Excellent.
traditional Hispanic spelling, Ferguson.
Yeah. Ferguson, very Hispanic.
See, yeah.
See. Excellent. Well, Ron, I appreciate it, man.
My pleasure. Thanks
Catch
for
up
having
with
me.
you again soon.
All right.
All right.